Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to another week of the Mario Maker Workshop Recap. We've been doing this for about 10 weeks. It's been quite a long time. Gone through many lessons, played many levels, and done many things. So we're still just about in the middle of the entire curriculum, but if you don't know what the Mario Maker Workshop is, let me show you, and you can check it out on our website. So the Mario Maker Workshop is a project that we are doing here at Design Oriented. You can see the link to it right here on the main website. So you can just go to designoriented.net and you'll find everything that you need to know about who we are and what we do. You click there, it takes you to the home page of the workshop. These are all the workshop members. I need to update this picture, And it explains what we do and why we're doing it and what you can get out of it and what we expect of you, sort of. And we also have these weekly web pages that sum up the lessons that we talk about in some of these recaps, but also some extra information. And if you ever get behind, you can use these lessons to catch up. So far there are 7 core lessons here and some extra stuff, and there's much more to come, so we're gonna roll right along with it. This week we have been diving deeply into what it takes to create skill-based challenges in platformers. Now, we use a system that I created called the D-Cart system. It's right here, and it's mainly composed of 5 major skill types. We have dexterity, which is here, knowledge, reflex, timing, and adaptation. So this last week we challenged the workshop via a bingo board, which you can see here. And on this bingo board, I'll make it bigger. On this bingo board, we have the task of finding levels in existing Mario games that match this criteria. And the criteria is finding an example of timing challenges that are static, complex, some that accelerate or decelerate, something that stresses internal timing, something that stresses external timing, which is most of everything in Mario right there. It's an easy one. And then something that requires the player to keep track of multiple timing events at the same time. So we comb existing Mario levels, searching for really good examples, and then we fill out these cells with our names when we find something. But that's just the start of it, right? We take the Mario level, we duplicate it in Mario Maker, and then we make 3 total copies. One, we make it a little easier than what you find in the regular game. The middle we leave unchanged, and then the last one we make it harder. And the whole point is to stress that specific skill that we're studying here, to highlight it through design, so that when somebody's playing the level, they go, oh, I get it, and they go, oh, that's getting harder, and they're like, wow, that really is difficult in this very precise way. They may not have the language to describe it, but everything that we're doing here in the workshop and on DO, we use very precise language to talk about game design, and this is a perfect example of that in action. So I did not do a level for this one, but plenty of our workshop members have, and I'm just going to play them. I've never played these levels before, so that's going to be fun. You're going to see that. And I'm going to switch over to the game view so we can check out what I'm talking about, right here. Oh, notifications. Let's distract everybody by reading notifications. 11 players played a double take. Did I actually show my level on stream last time? I don't think I did, so I can kind of start with that, and then we can go to these other ones. Cool. So right here, the level that I made for the reflex assignment. This one is supposed to test basic reflex, right? So I took this scenario that you see a lot of times in Mario games right here, and I blocked this off because I'm really trying to focus on this upper path, so you gotta do what you gotta do. And you're running, and all of a sudden you see a fireball, you're like, oh no, that could have hit me maybe, but that's the easy one, right? Here's what it looks like normally when you're playing. You're running, and the fireball, you have to actually jump over it, right? So that's normal gameplay, and this is what it looks like on the hardest variation of this. Exactly. Now I just spoiled that for anyone who didn't know, but that reflex challenge, if you're actually looking ahead and you're paying attention to the pattern, should not come as too big of a surprise, even though it's one of the biggest fire bars you can make. Fun, basic reflex challenge. You can definitely tell what the difference is between something like that and something like this. So here you go. Oh. And if you aren't reacting in time, I put those bricks there to help you react even better. It gives you that many more microseconds. And this is what it's like in the normal game. You have to actually react to a Koopa shell bouncing off of a brick. You have about that much time to do it, and this is my hardest version. Ah! 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 See? That's gonna happen to you. Doesn't necessarily happen to me because I made this course. But these are big time spoilers. It's kind of what reflex challenges are. A lot of the times, we're really testing your ability to do very specific and precise things. Wow. The first time you encounter them, and then after that, you can a lot of times augment your reflex skills with long-term memory or short-term memory, and you're like, yeah, I know the trick now. It's not going to get me. Well, you had your one chance, right? That's what's the beauty of reflex challenges. Is if you didn't get it the first time, you have nothing to brag about. But I put that invisible block there to trick you, and then right when people think it's safe, it comes back, which is hilarious. And right if you think you can jump here, you're like, oh no! Ah! Yeah, fun. I don't remember why I put this down thing here. I don't know. But yeah, that's the whole course. Very precisely creating level challenges to test those specific skills. And I think one thing to note is because we're taking existing level pieces and we're augmenting them, all the crazy things you have to do just to kind of force the player into playing the level as intended, so to speak. Mario games are typically much more open. They let you do a lot more like take this path or have a power up and damage boost and all these things. But for these assignments, we let people strong arm the player a little bit more. But yeah, that was my reflex challenge. We're gonna take a look at the timing challenges. Now, I'll probably explain the specific skill as we go along, but we're gonna play P-Switch Time by Spock. And we're gonna work our way down. We got all these to do. Wow, look at you guys. Look at you guys. Very good. So, Mario is an action game, and I say this over and over all the time. Action games are really good at doing simple things. Putting some stuff on the screen, giving you a gun or a jump or something to deal with those things, but a lot of what action games are, it's fun. Ooh, I think I know which setup he's doing. Ooh, freebie. Oh, I almost messed it up. Yeah. Hey, Bleach is playing Splatoon. Oh, no! I bet you tune this. Ah! Ha! Not tuned enough. Okay, let's try it again. Ooh. Yeah, this is just like the original setup where you have a hill that slides down, a P-switch under some, I think, music note blocks, and you're supposed to hit it like this, and then like work your way up. But in this game, I can take it with me. Ooh. Interesting. Now the hardest one? Cool. Oh, I fell. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, nice job at making it even more difficult and having the player wait even longer there. It's interesting, you have a limited amount of time to get up here. The timing challenge... A lot of what makes this a difficult timing challenge is basically coordinating when this enemy is going to come out and if it's going to shoot at you. Oh. Freebie. I wonder if you put those coins there so you don't just run to the next section too fast. Ah, nice. So Spock really likes these interesting formations, right? And I practiced on his one of his blocks only level. I really like these. Oh, Spock jumps! I ruined it. Oh, he put a P-switch on the ceiling. I didn't know you could do that. Cool. Cool, we got some new followers on Twitch. I like it. So, the timing... So I think for that, you need to ignore the fact that the P-switch is on a timer. You need to just think about, okay, is the actual timing challenge? And yes, doing things under a time pressure is kind of a thing, but the timing challenge is jumping on these platforms, I guess in somewhat of a timely manner, but then when the piranha plants start coming up and shooting diagonal fireballs at you and you have to figure out if you're going to wait it out, jump over it, or whatever, that's when the timing challenge gets a little bit more complex. Did he describe what type it was? No. Alright, Spock. Yeah, that was from Bros 3. I think the level is 1-2 or 1-3 from the original Super Mario Brothers 3. This is P-Flyer. Ooh, gimme, gimme, gimme. Ah, from the first level! From the first level! So timing. I wonder what this is going to do timing-wise. Okay, come back up. Okay. This is an interesting case. Haha, reflex. That's an interesting reflex challenge. Pick which one you want. And I went for the not so good one. Let's give that another try. So I think the timing challenge here is getting a feel for the static timing of how long it takes Mario to get up to run speed. And I think this first one's easy because you get plenty of room, right? So this next one's going to be a little bit tighter. And you're going to be able to run. You have to jump a little bit closer to the edge, I guess. And then this last one, your positioning from the horizontal is different. I'm not sure how that changes the timing challenge. It's interesting. Oh no! I need it. Exit. Yeah, so that's interesting if you consider that running at full speed from a standstill is a static timer. The challenge there was less about do you know exactly when the static timer is over so that you can fly. So I'm not sure how the conveyor belts adjusted the timing of this challenge. You still flew up the same amount, the angle of the coins seemed to be about the same, but interesting concept. 6-2 bonus sky, Mario Maker Workshop, acceleration. Oh, was he doing acceleration? That's interesting. So one of the cool parts about timing is there's a lot of overlap. Something can accelerate or be a static timer that accelerates to a degree. It can also be external or internal, like whether or not you have to have the timing memorized or there's something on the screen that represents the timing. And sometimes it seems like a balance between those things, but for this assignment, we're looking for something very specific in the design to bring out one particular aspect at a time. So that's interesting. Oh no! Ah, I lost. Alright. Now the boxes are closer together, so the jumping gaps are accelerated, which is an interesting way to interpret acceleration. Man, this is cool, lining them all up like this. I would jump up there, but I'd probably kill myself. So now it's gonna be even wavier. Oh, no! Oh. No! No! Interesting. That's crazy. Something that simple actually had a lot of intriguing things going on. I need to sit up straight. Try again. Frequency of jumps is an interesting thing to accelerate. I think a lot of people might be looking for horizontal movement, but this is an alternative. I'm about to kill myself. Yep, I was about to say, I wonder if I can get crushed. That's very dangerous. I guess you could skip these things altogether, which is what I'm gonna try to do. I guess you can't get past these. You can. Interesting. Ah!
Oh
Okay.
no! Oh no!
That's me without a plan. That's me
Oh no!
with the same bad plan. Oh, I overshot it.
Oh no!
Okay. Let's see if this is even close to world record. Oh, I overshot it!
Oh no!
How can I tell where that thing's gonna be? Timer? Is there no way to get up there?
No.
Interesting. No. Alright, that's enough of that. Speedrunning that will be interesting. I think you have to triple jump off the first set and then mid-air twirl to get to the second set. Alright, assignment number 8. Interesting. Okay. Ah! If you jump right when your feet pass under a gap, you can't jump. They're fast. Aye. Oh, wow. The first one's just like a slow bro. These guys are the same size, so they're the same timer. Oh, I did it again. Jumped right over the gap, which is crazy. It's crazy. Whoa! Good thing it messed up. Ah! Straight in a hole. That'll ruin the record. Don't do that, okay? I'm trying to figure out the timing. It looked like the moles coming out of the ground were the same timer. I didn't think they were any higher up to the surface. And there's no moles there, okay? And then you go over here. Kill him, then moles. I don't even know why I need to do that jump. Cool. Yeah. So turning those moles into jumping moles. I wonder if being on ice is significant there. Complex timing. Maybe that's an example of keeping track of two different timers. One is when you can jump over the pits, and two is how fast the enemy's coming in. It's kind of what I was saying with action games. Just putting stuff into a space automatically, and action games, like by definition, are in real time. So there's a lot to try to clarify with timing. What level is this from? 8, 3? No, no, 8, 1? 8, 2? Ooh. I guess those bullet bills are independent timers, so you have to watch. You have to watch out for bullet bills and piranha plants and fire and hammers. So I guess that was an example of oh, this is this an example of 6-2 in the original Mario Brothers right here? What the? Or maybe this is like 8 something. Oh. Ooh. So that stuff just happens at night? Oh, the bigger ones have different timing. Ah! Interesting. And the red ones are making them come out faster, so the pipes are a different color. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, Mario games seem to effortlessly create different timing challenges. That's the bulk of the fun of the entire game. Any different enemy, any different size, any different colored pipe, and you got yourself different timing. Fire cakes. Okay, interesting. Oh, free. Okay. Now is it gonna be tighter? Okay, double the spikes. So now all the timing has been subdivided, I think. Oh! And then it goes through the similar thing, and now this one's a little bit something. And this one's even slower, so now you can't just cruise. Interesting. What? I can't do that? Oh, I'm in trouble now. I wonder if you count these as independent. See, the snake blocks is definitely its own timer with its front and the end movement, but then these buzz saws. Let's go! It's complicated. Oh. I swear you could jump off these. No, only Yoshi. Well, I just wasted that. Nope. Interesting. Oh, what? Yep, I've done that. Woo! That's control, but control, baby. Okay. So that was the easier version. Now we have 2 sets. You have to wait here. Oh, it's just too fast. Ah! Yeah, those are hard blocks. Munchers act like hard blocks. You can't damage boost them. Yep. Woo! Ah! Oh, that was nothing. So this is the regular one, really? And I guess the cape helps a lot. That's pretty complex. That's pretty complex with the cape. Yeah, let's go, cape. Okay, what about this is different? Nice. Ooh, even smaller? What are you trying to do to me? I don't even know. It's the same way I did last time. Interesting. And that's a complex timer. The Potable is on its own thing. Is it random in this? Is it semi-random? No, it looks like it's just on the timer. Whatever. We take those! Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Naked pipe. I see a naked pipe on the left. Dockham points. Cool. Yep. Ah, nice. Oh. Now they. Oh! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's get out of here. Yeah, I remember this level in the first world of Mario. Oh, you. Ooh. Probably shouldn't put these doors above the ground. Now they're faster. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Interesting shape. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? The boos got faster and tighter. The window to get in there and out of there got tighter. So that was a static timing challenge. For each of them, it's just a smaller and smaller window for the static timing challenge. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, maybe the running and flying was acceleration because you have to run up to top speed. It's interesting. Okay. Oh, fun. That's a good way to put a P-switch you can just not carry with you. Yep. I should have been brave. No! I should have known. That was a neat setup. I can get that. Shoot! I can get that. Oh, cool. Cool, okay. Ah, I can get it. I can get it. I can get that. Ah!
Oh yeah, Mario time!
Spooky clock. Interesting.
Oh yeah, Mario time!
Cool. That was, if you're not keeping track of the timer of the platforms, you can hit the P switch and not be ready to go immediately. If you're not keeping track of the boo that's flying at you or the spinning ring of boos, all all of those were independent timers, and they were all kind of working differently, and you need to do different things because of them. So I think that was an example of tracks. Music quiz, Mario Classics. Interesting. No. Star Road 4. Let's go, Greg. Let's go. Oh, fun! Oh, fun. Let's go. What the heck? Why is this one easier? Oh, the first one's just an introduction to something? Nice and simple. Interesting, though. It means other people were not trying hard enough. I will lose this record, most assuredly. That one seemed like a either a complex timer. Well, it feels like tracks. It feels like tracks is one of the easiest ones to go for. So let's flip back over. For timing challenges, having two independent things happening is what Mario's all about. External is what Mario's all about. But this in this particular case, to highlight it, it has to be something where you can pretty much only get the timing of it if you look at it, or use some kind of feedback from the game. Maybe enemies are bouncing off of each other and it's random, or like randomness. The Heimer brothers alone are external timing. You cannot internalize that. It's random. They throw a random amount, they jump a random timing, and they jump to a random height. Good luck. Internal is just something you kind of have to know or not know. That's interesting. What in the game would let you do that? Like, for internal, you could have made it to where, let's see if this, oh, TikTok. So there's another one by Harbros. We'll get back to this. Yeah, timers are everywhere in action games. Let's go. Oh!
Oh no! Oh no!
Ah, I messed that up. So if you just run past everything, there is no challenge. Or the timing challenge gets incredibly compressed. So let's see. This is some sharp tuning. I don't think he designed it to do that. You basically have to run on the ground as long as possible because that's when Mario gets his most acceleration. Jump. Okay. And duck. But you have to duck as late as possible because you can't skid. Skidding lowers your speed. That's pretty tight. Wow, pretty tight. Wow, just styling and ruining everything. Oh, I'm so close.
Oh no!
What if that twirl is holding me back? Because I need to be running.
Oh
Do I?
no!
It only reacts to my horizontal.
Oh no!
That's so tight.
Oh no!
Okay, I don't know what I did before. Can you stop messing it up then?
Mario #1! Woohoo!
I stole it. You have to duck as little as possible. Well, whatever that means. Hey, Akamarik does another one. Jeez. Oh wow. Spock did some reflex tests too. Okay. We got you, Spock. Blink, block, beat. Blink, blank, blunk. So this should be static timer with the external timing because they give you the warning beats. Okay. Complex. Okay. Interesting how the cloud's set up for this. Nice formation. Getting used to the timer and learning when to make a jump when they're about to switch. That's one of the cool things you do with beat blocks. Ooh, thanks for putting this here. It gave me enough time to kill that guy and... Oh, these are purple blocks. These are what we call purple blocks, which I'll show you in a bit. Oh, this is cool. Check! Oh, different ones come out at different times. Interesting. No! The spin doesn't work the same in this that it does in New Super Mario Brothers. Missed. Nice. So let me show you what I mean by purple blocks. Switch over here. Boom. Go here. One thing that we do in the Mario Maker Workshop is we collect all of our courses for giving feedback all in one place. And so far we have logged in 171 different courses, and we have filled out the feedback, which you can see to the right of the course over here. We've answered 21 point criteria, and we've answered 2,610 different specific questions. Another thing that we do is we collect gameplay ideas, and whether it's a small little gadget, a neat little idea, or an idea for a full-blown level, we collect it all here so that our creative juices can bounce off of each other, and so that we are not experiencing this pressure of keeping all of our best ideas in our head. Like, just write it down, get it out there, and let the workshop do its thing. But purple safety blocks. Arrange blue can see that, right? It's not big enough, you say. Purple safety blocks. Arrange blue and red on-off blocks in a way where the player is likely to be successful whether or not the switch block is being hit or if they time the jump correctly. So this is for switch blocks, but this also applies to beat blocks. So I can write this also applies to beat blocks. Yeah, so the player is safe no matter if they kind of guess wrong or guess correctly or fall down, for, at least for one of the switches, right? You can't keep the player safe all the time. But yeah, so when I'm filling out the gameplay ideas, when I'm filling out the feedback for this course, which was done by Akamarak, right here. Where Akamarak, multi-holes, night, day timing, timing showcase. This is blink, block, block, block. There we go. I go to his course. And he has magic blocks as one of his ideas, and I have to add purple safety blocks. So now, whether Akamara goes back or anybody else is playing the levels and reviewing the feedback, they can see, oh, there's these two very distinct gameplay ideas that are in the stage. Let's see what magic blocks are. Using blink blocks with enemies coming out of the pipes above to create a dangerous place for both the player and the enemies. That's a weird name though. Magic blocks. But cool, that's what happened though. That's the idea. That's really good. So when creating that level, you know, recognizing what different gameplay ideas. When I said before that there was naked pipe, what I'll show you here. Naked pipe. Pipe should always connect to some kind of solid platform. They shouldn't just be hanging out in midair. You should put some blocks or bricks or something. And in that case of the other stage, the bridge fell apart and there was just a naked pipe. So for principles, I'm trying to remember what stage that was. Was it we'll see. I thought it was fire cakes. It was an underground stage, but yeah, it was fire cakes. So for fire cakes' level timing showcase, we find it. Where's fire cakes? Okay, down here. Timing showcase, and we can go all the way over to the principles tab and be like naked pipe. And he did not ensure that there were no naked pipes, but this is something that fire cakes can check on his own time and be like, oh. And as long as the workshop works together to give all the feedback for all these courses, everybody can learn from their own examples and grow as a level designer. Feedback is incredibly important. We take this pretty seriously, as you can tell, with so many different fields filled out. I did some of these on stream last time just to give you an idea of what it takes. I'm not going to do that this time. But I will encourage every single workshop member to play our levels more. You should probably play our levels more than anything else. And one of the cool parts about communal learning is that we realize that working within this group should be some of the most fun that you'll have playing Mario Maker, and definitely the most constructive learning environment. To get the most out of it, you have to play our levels. You have to see where we succeed, where we fail, and what ideas we explore. So I expect all these feedback columns for the newest stages, the newest courses, to be filled out by all you guys. Yeah, I expect it. And it should be fun. If you have any questions, we're in the chat all the time throughout the week. You can just ask. It's that simple. And I will yell at you later about that as well. So we're going to finish up with Assignment 7 Cruise Reflex Test by Spot. I may have already played this. Probably not, because it doesn't have a flag on it. Hopefully my text chat for my stream is working, because it happened before where it did not work. Invisible blocks can be a great way to test reflexes or to kill the player unfairly. Boom, 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 boom. Ooh, auto scroll. Oh, so it's faster. It's less time to reflex in general. Nice. Let me just check the stream. Without killing myself. Ooh, faster. Ah! Oh no. It slows down now. Interesting. Pretty neat. Let's go, everybody. You can definitely feel it. So a really cool part about doing the workshop assignments like this is we go over a concept that's game design focused, but then we say find stuff in existing game design and then make levels that accentuate those lessons. And then when you play it, you're like, whoa, that felt different from all the other levels that I played. Maybe there's something about why it felt different, and then it should reinforce all the lessons that we've been learning. So hopefully that did that. Good job there, Spock. Let's go back to the worksheet and close this stream off. So we got a lot of stuff going on in the worksheet, but this week rather, adaptation, we're still figuring out what we're gonna do with that. I think it's an interesting challenge. So let's go back to the sunburst, right? Adaptation is the scale of adjustments and change. One can adapt within a single D-card skill, which is like knowledge or reflex or dexterity or timing or anything like that. You can adapt within a single tier. You can adapt between two tiers, like, oh no, my arm is getting tired from mashing the X button. I'm gonna try this other character / technique that doesn't need quite as many button presses. That's an example of recognizing the limitations of skill in one area and then substituting or augmenting your abilities by accentuating the skill in another area. That's level 2 adaptation. And then level 3 is just having the entire skill spectrum be stressed, and you have to just make adjustments across the board on everything, right? That was just a really simple way of sort of breaking down adaptation into tiers, right? You can even adapt within a single subfacet, like I need to mash faster. That's adaptation. Recognizing something that happens in the game and going, a change needs to be made, the skill of adjustment and change. That's why it's adaptation. But now we have a really concrete way of understanding it. And these are the definitions in case. Hey, I even use a button mashing example. So, one thing about the skill spectrum, which is the D-card system, really, is that everything is sort of fluid, continuous, overlapping. It's a spectrum. So don't get too bogged down with something being exactly this or exactly that. The reason why I broke down the skill system into these subfacets is I found that individuals have exhibited particular aptitude for some of these and not for others. And that creates very different learning environments, learning experience, play experiences, and expressions of their skill. So if you ever the whole point of this is to figure out what makes gameplay different, especially when there's like no story or progression systems to worry about. Like, what about just interacting with something, how different can that possibly be? And for music, we know to understand to break things down by note, tone value, and by rhythm. And with those two things together, maybe instrument and maybe what other layered melodies or instruments are being played, we have the entire of music history and of differentiation. We have styles over here, over there. We have trends. We have popular music. We have not popular music. Everything in between, just because we understand that just varying those few things can give you all the variation you need. Similar with the D-card system. We know that by understanding these different core ways of a challenge can stress us, our skills, and us as a person, we have this entire library of different ways to create and craft experiences. So that's why learning these individually, we are taking 5 to 6 weeks to do it. And that's why it is a really important second semester lesson that we're doing here in the Mario Maker workshop. So we will continue to chip away at this. If you are new to the workshop, we've been doing this bingo thing for a while. So we started with bonus room bingos, and we almost filled that out, 87%. We did enemy bingos, 100%, thanks to some super effort by Jeff at the end there. We did the power-up bingo, in which we completed it, right? 100% for all of us. And then we are doing the D-card bingo, which is more cells than ever and more work than ever. But geez, we are doing our best. So overall, we have 26% of everything filled out, but as you can see at the top, knowledge, dexterity, and reflex all have higher than that. Timing is catching up. But if you're new to the workshop, you can jump at any point. You can talk to us to get specific advice. A lot of it is just come as you go, free form. You can jump in or jump out however you want. You can even help us if you're going to do the assignments that happened previously. All you have to do is go to the lesson hub, and for something like assignment 3, right? You clickety-click. Boop. And then you can read all about what we learned. The lessons, this one's all about coins, so you can read all about that. This is the assignment. You can read the instructions here, or you can just ask us in the Discord. It's always pinned, and these are some of the results of our exploration, right? So all the data, the streams are here, the data is here, the bingos are here, the instructions and the videos are here, and the explanations here. So again, one-stop shop for everything you need to know to catch up. For example, this is one of our latest lessons in the D-card skill system. This is dexterity. You can see all the Mario characters pulling up vegetables. That's a very dexterous style action. This is an old stream I made talking about dexterity in case you wanted some extra explanation. Otherwise, this is a recap for stream week number 8. And you can learn all about it just like that. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about what's on the horizon. So adaptation, it's interesting. We may not be able to do the same kind of setup that we did for the other 4 D-card skills. Adaptation is always the weird one, right? It's all these skills but jumping in between them. So how are we going to do something that stresses adaptation? Considering that a lot of what you do as a player in Mario games isn't you have to do it this one exact way or else, it's hard to kind of pin down an exact skill the player has to use to win, and therefore it's even harder to pin down the exact adaptation players have to win. But maybe we'll just that's interesting. I think we're going to find examples from existing levels. We're going to copy them. You make the player play through it originally, and then you do something to make the second playthrough much harder. So let's say they have a power-up in the first one, and then you hurt them going into the repeat section, and then they don't have the power-up. It forces them to make that adaptation, and otherwise the 2 rooms should be exactly the same. That's probably what we're going to do. You can also make it to where we already did the tier 1 adaptation essentially by doing all these other things here, right? We took individual skills and we said, hey, ramp it up difficulty wise across your 3 duplicates. That's already tier 1. Tier 1 also includes like bouncing back and forth between short-term and long-term, or channels, and using analyzing channels together. So I think we have some room here for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And we'll play by ear and kind of finish off the week with adaptation. I'm going to unmerge you, beep, and then do this and merge you, beep. So coming up after that, we're going to do fairness as a topic. So I kind of wanted to primer on that and leave you with a little bit of something to think about. But fairness is a really interesting concept. I thought about it a lot over this last weekend. I'm like, well, what is fairness? Why is it so important? What are the different ways we can understand it, and how can we fix it when we identify something as unfair? And in some ways, the topic is a lot more complicated than I thought it was, and it's also a lot simpler, right? It only takes a few sort of checks in order to see if something's quote unquote fair or not. But for the majority of situations, with bosses or anything, any challenge, there's how you learn it and then how you play it. How you play it, assuming that you have all the knowledge you need, is the learning is already done. So you're just executing and using what you know. But learning it is a big deal because everybody has to learn everything when they first come to it. So learning is a huge part about video games. Should never be underestimated. If you make your challenge very difficult to learn, I don't think there's any point in doing that. The point should be making the player competent enough that when they get the opportunity to test their skills, they can fall back on those skills and then show you all the different ways that they, as an individual person with their unique skills, are different from everybody else. That's the major point. Like, we don't make it hard for students to learn piano songs. We give them everything they need. We encourage them to do best practices, and then we really test them when they've learned the song and they take it to competition after practicing it, right? And after knowing it. So there's really no point in like cutting up the piano music and hiding it, arranging it into puzzle pieces and having them solve a puzzle first before they can even look at the dots on the page. It's really no point, I don't think, for the most part. So it's the same with video games. Making things hard to learn is not such a good idea. Maybe I'll do this. Yeah, making things hard to learn is not such a good idea. And when we're talking about fairness, we're talking about how the game sets the player up to learn. There's a lot of different options, but sometimes teaching the player things before they get into an encounter is important. Giving them a safe place to learn about something new is important. Giving them enough health or whatever so they can buffer any kind of base level trial and error experience so that they can then learn on the fly and hopefully apply that knowledge before they are killed in the boss, right? A lot of different ways of looking at it. Mario does it in a very specific way, and that's why we've highlighted a lot of these principles, which I will show you now. Like that. So principles, this is the gold. This is, if you're interested in game design and less about Mario, this is the page you should be spending most of your time on. This, we identify principles that govern Mario level design, whether it's purely Nintendo level design or Mario Maker Workshop levels or user created levels out there. And we give everything a name and we describe it and we categorize it and we talk about how often it's adhered to. We give it a purpose, we give it exceptions, we go the whole sort of 9 yards. But we even go further to extrapolate every principle so that we consider how it applies to platformers in general, games in general, and and Mario games overall, right? So as far as difficulty goes, Mario games adhere to these very clear principles. Like if you see a coin, like let's just coins. It's just coins are an easy example, but when you have a multi-coin block in a Mario game, all the blocks are you can get all 10 coins if you have the right power up or whatever for the job, but most of the time you can always get all 10 coins. Even if it's a level scroll, even if there's dangerous stuff happening, they tune it to where seeing a multi-coin block says, that's a challenge I can win. And winning in this case is getting all 10 coins because that's the max. See coin, get coin. If you see a coin in the level, you should be able to grab it without restarting the level. Most of Mario levels adhere to this. Super Mario Brothers follows this, but Super Mario World does not, and maybe New Super Mario Bros. 2 starts to break the rules. Definitely New Super Mario Bros. 2, so I can add that. New Super Mario Bros. 2 breaks this rule like crazy. But yeah, that's a general principle that makes the game fair. If you see a coin, you know it's not going to lead you to your death. You see a coin, you know you can grab it in some way and still progress. And that meticulous level of detail and tuning goes a long way in informing the player and creating a play space so they can quickly parse, understand, and accept the challenges that you have so meticulously designed within the layout. Other things like P-switch blocks and collect your prize and coin rolls, like how to arrange them horizontally and vertically, and just some of these are stronger than others. You can see the dark green color for the strong principles, and some are weak, so we put usually or sometimes or whatever. And this is part of what makes Mario fair, because not every game has to be like Mario. But the important part is establishing a pattern or a set of rules or guidelines or principles that when you meticulously design your game around it, your game speaks through its design. so that when people go into a new encounter, they're not just like completely confused. They're like, no, things in this game work like this. If I see this, I'm comfortable knowing that it's going to have this kind of situation going on. I can expect coins to be grabbed, therefore I expect this. I know that's safe, so on and so forth. Design is like, following these principles and exhibiting these ideas through the design is just like programming. It's just like writing. It's just like anything else. If you have a character named Johnny, you don't want to spell that name differently randomly halfway through the book. You don't want to call that character something different randomly halfway through the book. Like, be consistent. The consistency sets up a framework and expectation and recall and attaches to memories and other experiences that the player can constantly use to reinforce what it is, and it just builds on top of each other. Otherwise, the design is working against itself, and that's not good. So there's a lot more we're going to talk about with regards to fairness. We're gonna design that assignment when we get to it, and for the next 7 days or so, we're going to be focusing on adaptations. So tune in next week for another quick look at fairness. I'm going to go over some notes I wrote and continue to play our levels. If you are watching this and you are not a part of the Mario Maker Workshop, you can join it at any time. It's free. Go to the website, designoriented.net. You can find everything you need to know. Otherwise, if you are in the workshop, you need to be playing these levels. There's so much to study. And don't go crazy, right? We all have responsibilities and other things to do, but when you are playing Mario, when you are thinking about Mario, when you are deciding to divvy up your Mario allotted time, you should be diving deep into these levels, because the assignments are getting more complex, the concepts are getting more complex. That requires more and more of your eyeballs and your time and your mind to understand it. So that's all we got for today. Thanks for joining me. My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid, and this has been the Mario Maker Workshop recap for week number 10, and I will see you guys next week.